let's talk about Monday Night Raw, which was dominated by Queen of the Ring activity. But there were still some other things that occurred, I guess, on the show. Not the best episode of Monday Night Raw, but certainly not the worst. Right there in the middle. Gave you pretty much no reason to watch Raw next week unless you're interested in this tournament. So the tournament is apparently going to dominate television for the next couple of weeks. It's going to be the A story because we're not talking at all about that world title. They got a world title, no top contender to be found anywhere. Really unfortunate for Damian Priest, isn't it? Well, before we get into Monday Night Raw, however, we got to talk about some things. One thing in particular. Apparently, WWE has decided to not continue doing business with Jerry the King Lawler. This relationship has been off and on since 1992, of course. We know Jerry Lawler left WWE for a very short time after the Cat was fired in, I believe it was the late 90s. He's been on staff since his return from that excursion. So we're talking about over 20 years that, this guy's been under contract. And yes, he's very old. Yes, he can't, perform duties anymore. There's not much he can do. I've heard that it's mostly just a downgrade, that he's no longer as a talent, on-air talent, that he might just be under a Legends contract or some other kind of appearance kind of deal. But, it's still sad because you see people that you grew up watching and they're now getting so old that they can't really perform basic duties anymore. So it's a really sad time. I'm not shedding tears for Jerry Lawler, but it's really sad that you thought that guy would probably be somewhere getting paid to do something, but I guess they're going to probably put him on a Legends contract, keep him in the video games, action figures and stuff like that, and then call it a day. So let's get into Raw. Raw was all about the King of the Ring tournament for the most part. So it's going to be pretty much how much going to speed run through the King of the Ring tournament. Let's start with the injuries. It seemed like every other match that they talked about was somebody replacing somebody else. Jey Uso had to replace Drew McIntyre because Drew McIntyre's been injured since WrestleMania, as far as I know. And he was booked for this match, only for him to be taken out and replaced by Jey Uso. Drew McIntyre was, of course, mad that Jey Uso took his place, and he took off for the night. He left the building. Jey Uso then wrestled Finn Balor and defeated Finn Balor in this match. This led to a lot of people online being extremely upset because, Jey Uso is not very good. But mostly it was people who are, living in a fantasy and reminiscing about Finn Balor in New Japan, not realizing it's been over 10 years since he's been in New Japan. Like people are not allowed to age. But it's a weird thing, but whatever. I get it, though. A lot of people don't really like Jey Uso. They don't like his matches. He's super over, but the matches aren't hitting, and people are kind of like, I don't know about this thing. But if Finn Balor's got to lose to somebody, it should be one of the most over baby faces on the roster, right? So there it is. And plus, heels lose all the time anyway. Next, Ricochet was defeated by Ilya Dragunov. Dragunov had a vignette, actually, which was not bad. Dragunov's vignette says he drinks from the chalice of suffering until hell feels like home. I was like, oh, that sounds dark. That's really dark. The Dragunov Ricochet match, for a lot of people, it was their favorite match of the night. It was a really good match. But it had a lot of that indie stuff in it that I'm not really a big fan of. One of the big things is the top rope hurricanrana. Dragunov takes this top rope hurricanrana. He doesn't really even sell it. He bounces off the mat, really. And then he rolls outside of the ring. And he's still landing on his feet. So he's still standing less than 2 minutes after just getting flipped off the top rope. That's Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Ricochet did a bunch of flips. There was some cool spots in here though. Dragunov goes for Torpedo Moscow. It gets countered into the recoil. Ricochet put up a good fight. He loses to the H-bomb. It is what it is. I know Samantha's she's got to be tired of announcing other people other than her boyfriend to be the winner of matches that he's in, right? I know eventually she's got to take this stuff she's got to know, no, that this is a work. Because how can you just sit ringside and watch your boyfriend get his ass beat every single week, just knowing that he's a loser, a professional loser at that? God damn, that's gotta suck. What kind of conversations do you think they have? So that was pretty much it. The main event of the evening. Gunther defeated Sheamus in the main event. He actually defeated him with a single Boston Crab, which continues Gunther's amazing streak of I'll beat you with whatever I feel like. And the idea that he doesn't really have a finisher. I remember Roddy Piper, when I think it was a card I think I got. Or was it a magazine that I was reading? And it was like, Roddy Piper, what's your finishing hold? And it just says, whatever I feel like, or something like that. And that's kind of how it is with Gunther. In the promos leading up to the match, Sheamus talked about, the banger after banger. And it's finally time for him basically to slay the dragon of Gunther. While Gunther said he didn't care about Sheamus. He doesn't care about having bangers. He cares about being the greatest of all time. He cares about becoming the king of the ring. So, yeah, that sounds about right. Of course, that's Gunther the character talking. Gunther the guy cares tremendously about matches. His whole, the product, in the old era was not quite what I appreciate. I need time to let my matches build and to work the matches that I need to work. Man, you big brickhead bastard. In any event, Gunther is amazing. They went out there to beat the hell out of each other. Sheamus's chest looked like he got into a fight with a Wolverine. Typical Sheamus, Gunther, hard-hitting, flesh-ripping match. And that's what everybody wanted to see. There is a likelihood that Gunther and Ilya Dragunov will be having a match on Monday Night Raw sometime soon. There's a really high probability that is going to occur. So that ought to be interesting, right? I guess if we're going to have Dragunov lose to somebody in his first take a loss, it's going to have to be Gunther, right? Especially since I think Gunther is going to win the tournament. All right. Kofi Kingston is filling in for Xavier Woods, and he's going to be wrestling Rey Mysterio. He cuts a really sort of impassioned promo on this show that I thought was pretty good, considering you almost never hear Kofi cut a promo seriously, especially since he's been world champion before. But this was supposed to, he talked about this being Xavier Woods' opportunity, that he wanted to be a 2-time king of the ring, the first ever. And it says that Gunther took all of that away, and he's got to get to Gunther in this tournament and beat him, for Xavier Woods. He says he's going to have to put him down. Got to put down Ray like he was Drake or Kendrick Lamar. Say he's got to do this for Xavier because New Day rocks. I was actually far more interested in Kofi Kingston versus Rey Mysterio because it's something I don't think I've ever seen these two guys wrestle each other before. As long as they have been in the company, I don't think I've ever seen these two wrestle. Unless it was in the early days, maybe 2009, when Ray was doing the Intercontinental Championship thing. Maybe they had matches then. But I don't remember these two guys ever working against each other. And they're going to put it on the house show loop. They decided that King of the Ring tournament matches should be on house shows. That was the decision Triple H made. Instead of putting Rey Mysterio and Kofi Kingston a match with some stakes on it, he decided to run Bronson Reed versus Chad Gable, a match that ends in a disqualification because why not? Rather than Kofi Kingston and Rey Mysterio. Come on, man. Whatever. I fully expect Kofi to win that match because Rey, it doesn't matter. They're probably going to have Dominic or Carlito or somebody like that screw them over. Now, on the women's side of the Queen of the Ring tournament, Io Sky defeated Natalya. This match was very long. Dakota Kai cut a promo saying how Damage Control took over Monday Night Raw before. They're back to do the same thing. And she was taking the place of Asuka, who was injured. And she will be wrestling Lyra Valkyria. And this led to the really long, really terrible Becky Lynch promo, where Becky Lynch put over every female in the company, talking about their passion and their energy and all this kind of crap. It was terrible. And she looked like an absolute goon. She looked like she stepped straight out of The Fifth Element at the Kentucky Derby. She was wearing one of Saturn's rings around her head. I don't know why she insists on looking like some kind of NASA project, but she does. And Seth Rollins looked like the sausage from Sausage Party. I don't know what's up with that guy. He's like an old school barber. I don't understand this guy at all. But he was there. He shaved his face. Just looks real creepy and weird. The pair of them, the two of them, just two very weird looking people. Oh my God, that poor baby. Sheesh. In any event, as Becky Lynch cut this really terrible promo, because she's not good, and she really didn't have anything to say, she's eventually interrupted by Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is tired of Becky Lynch putting over everybody but her. She's talking about being overlooked. She's talking about being underestimated. And she ran down her resume, which includes taking out Rhea Ripley. Says she can't get any respect. You just get no respect. So then she says if she wants that championship match that she was promised, Becky Lynch accepts at the Saudi Mania show that they're calling King and Queen of the Ring. Just call it Saudi Mania, you might as well. And that was pretty much it. Damage Control came out there. Liv fled. They jumped Becky. Lyra Valkyria saved Becky Lynch, leading to the Dakota Kai Lyra Valkyria match. But I will give Liv Morgan credit. She was actually not bad here as a promo. Her promo was actually not bad in this context. She showed some fire. She didn't flub her words. She didn't sound like she was being phony. She was being a little bit more direct. I actually liked her promo here. It wasn't bad. Lyra Valkyria defeats Dakota Kai in a match where you probably could have heard a mouse fart. That's how much people cared about this match. And this match seemed to go on forever, despite the fact that nobody cared to see it. I mean, they gave Lyra Valkyria a vignette as well, but she has no discernible character, so it was just her smiling face saying generic things about, I'm ready for this division. I'm going to take this division by storm, and all this kind of garbage that you probably heard in a video game or something. They're not doing her no favors. They're not doing many people any favors with these really generic promos. I mean, they suck. They suck real bad. So Lyra Valkyria wins. Zoe Stark defeated Ivy Nile. This match is actually not bad, except for the fact that Zoe Stark took a bulldog from the top rope and kicked out. I'm like, what? Like, who put that in the game plan? We're going to take this jabroni, drop you on your head from the top rope, and you're going to kick out. Like, no. You're a J-Brown. If you get DDT'd or bulldog from the top rope, that should be it. You know, that's kind of ridiculous. Triple H is still trying to make Zoe Stark a thing. He's going to keep trying. He is not going to give it up. Under no circumstances is he going to give up on Zoe Stark. All right, so the other women's match is Shayna Baszler versus Zelina Vega. So that's going to be at the house show. So they're going to have probably Shayna Baszler go over because Triple H has an unyielding allegiance to Shayna Baszler and other assorted losers from the Black and Gold NXT era But to not even feature them to the point where there wasn't even a promo for Shayna Baszler or Zelina Vega. I mean, not even a promo, for God's sake. Oh, that shows how little they care about this thing. They showed the graphic, but they didn't even talk. They didn't even let nobody talk. I don't, it's like, ugh. So that's the King of the Ring. I didn't look at the bracket or anything like that, so I don't know who's wrestling who in the next round. Does it really matter? No, it's just a collection of matches. These people could use some promo time. They could use some storyline. They could use a little bit more than what Triple H is doing. He's just throwing random matches out there. So that's pretty much it for the bulk of Raw. The other segments on Raw included Drew McIntyre. Once he took off, CM Punk showed up. Punk said he was going to hijack the show until Drew McIntyre came back. And he ended up out there absolutely bombing. This was probably the worst CM Punk promo I've ever heard. He cut a promo saying that he thought Drew McIntyre ruined his WrestleMania dream, but he just postponed it. He had a good cry. And I was like, ooh, that's weird. Ooh. Then he says that CM Punk, he's called himself a 5-tool player, and says Drew McIntyre is just a tool. Says that Drew McIntyre hates the way he talks, hates the way he walks, but continues to try to be like him, sits in the ring like him, all this kind of stuff. Says that Drew McIntyre is a choke artist, which is a very different kind of choke artist than he is. And he says, you know what that means? And McAfee's like, yeah, guillotine. So they did a little bit of a shot at AEW and Jack Perry and all this kind of stuff. A lot of people was like, oh, they didn't get no reaction. It's like, a lot of WWE fans don't know about that stuff, nor do they care about the inside baseball of AEW. It's not the same audience, fam. This is Hartford, Connecticut. They don't care about Jack Perry and the Elite. I'm pretty sure they don't give a shit. So yeah, it bombed. This whole promo was, looked like Punk was trying to search for things to say. And I don't know what was supposed to happen, but nothing happened. He said he was going to hijack the show, and then he was just out there floundering for a little bit, and then said ultimately that he doesn't know if Drew McIntyre is a God-fearing man, but he does fear CM Punk. The whole point of this thing was he was going to stay out there long enough for everybody to take a picture of him in the ring and to send to Drew McIntyre so he could turn around and come back so they can fight. And Drew McIntyre never came back. In fact, they dropped the whole angle. It's not like Drew McIntyre showed back up just as Punk was leaving, which would have been humorous at the very least. Like if Drew McIntyre turned around, hey, I heard CM Punk was here. And, you just missed him. Like that would have been funny. But they didn't even do that because they suck. That would have been too much. We gotta smush Chad Gable and Bronson Reed in here. Oh my God. What awful shit this was. Bronson Reed heel versus Chad Gable heel in a match that went on, I don't know, what was it, probably 7 minutes before Sami Zayn jumped both of them. Bronson Reed ends up beating up both of these guys. That's the end of that. Adam Pearce was unhappy that Bronson Reed beat up both of these guys, even though it was stupid for him to be mad at Bronson Reed, considering he was fighting Chad Gable, and then Sami Zayn came out of nowhere and started the fight. He's the one who wanted to catch the fade, and he got what he wanted at that point. So Sami Zayn cut a promo talking about being stuck in between a personal vendetta and a professional vendetta. Bronson Reed just wants the title, so it's just it's professional with him. While Chad Gable is personal, and it should have been over with when he beat him in Montreal. So he challenged them both to a triple threat match in Saudi Mania. And I of course threw my hands in the air. Triple H is trying to force Bronson Reed upon you and me, and it's really inappropriate, I think. That human meatball that they call Thick Boy, probably not the best move for you to force him. But I guess if you hired the guy, you should use him. So, I mean, You got to do what you do. Braun Breaker showed up. I forgot he was even on this show. They haven't featured him. He was wondering why he wasn't in the King of the Ring tournament. He didn't get an answer. He just got told to meet Adam Pearce in his office. So I'm pretty sure Adam Pearce told him, hey, we got too much talent in this here tournament. We don't have enough TV time for everybody. We're going to have to do something very special with you. You're going to have to go out there and wrestle El Gran Luchador and hopefully win. Earn your spot into the King of the Ring tournament. Finn Balor was backstage apologizing for losing his match. Damian Priest was like, oh, that's okay. That's all right. But we got to deal with Braun Strowman. Then he put JD McDonough on Braun Strowman duty because Braun Strowman needs to be dealt with because Braun Strowman don't like bullies and Judgment Day are bullies. That's terrible. That's terrible story right there. That's right back. Don't do that. Change that, please. He can just be like, I want to be the world champion. You know, that's simple, right? I should be the world champion. That's why. And that would be more sensible than, I'm a big man and I don't like no bullies. Like, what? You are a bully. You huge. I mean, everybody in Judgment Day is smaller than him. You know, and how are you not bullying them? Anyway, JD McDonough is on Braun Strowman duty. And then Dominic Mysterio, with that, the mustache is becoming more and more pronounced. It was like a little thing before. Now it's like long. You know? I'm like, oh, it's so creepy. He got a Zorro mustache. It's creepy as hell. Anyway, he shows up with Carlito now. And Damian Priest is like, what is this garbage? So Carlito and Damian Priest, they have an issue from Backlash 2023 where Carlito helped Bad Bunny defeat Damian Priest. And Damian Priest has not forgotten that. And thus, he has an issue with Carlito. He don't like him. Carlito says, hey, look, I got to deal with the LWO. I could use some help. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Damian Priest is like, I'll think about it. I'll think about doing some business with Carlito. You don't do business with Carlito. Carlito's a backstabber. That's literally his gimmick. So, Dominic Mysterio bringing random Hispanics to the Judgment Day locker room. I mean, what next? You know, he's going to pop up with La Parka. He's going to drag Super Callow to the Judgment Day locker room. The Juice, maybe if Hoovy showed up, it'd be fun. But he just like bringing them like random Hispanic dudes to the Judgment Day locker room. Like, hey, look what I found, eh? Like, yeah, what the hell has this got to do with anything? Why is this guy here? Is there anything else? I guess the comedic R-Truth segment where R-Truth and The Miz, R-Truth wants to fight the UConn basketball team. Again, look, they had the coach for the UConn basketball team on Monday Night Raw to do a segment with R-Truth, where R-Truth thinks the NCAA is a wrestling league and he wants to defend the titles. Like, he wants a championship versus championship match with the UConn basketball team. And this thing, despite the fact that they're in Connecticut, this thing went over like the JFK shooting. Nobody cared about this. I'm just sitting here like, this TKO thing, where their obsession with quote unquote real sports, where there's going to be constant football players and basketball coaches, and we're going to build I'm going to talk about WrestleMania. I'll talk about that in a second. We got to, rebook WrestleMania and push everything around for real sports. Nobody knows who these fucking people are, man. Like, I understand that, 100 million people or whatever watched the Final Four. Those people are not going to turn to Monday Night Raw just to see this guy awkwardly stand there while R-Truth makes jokes. Nobody's going to tune in to see that. And I'm better off not knowing who that guy is. It's the same if you would have brought a wrestler nobody knows onto the screen. This guy's not a celebrity. He's a basketball coach. Like, at least Patrick Mahomes was in some way a celebrity. He's a football player, but he's also kind of a celebrity. This guy, nobody knows who this guy is. What the hell has he ever done with anything? I get what Nick Khan wants to do. I understand it, but stop it. Just stop. You gotta bring fun into the goddamn. That's what R-Truth was trying to do. R-Truth is trying to make it fun. I'm sitting here like, this guy is adding nothing to the scene. He just standing there, grinning, and I'm like, what the fuck? R-Truth is trying very, very hard to play the dummy role, and this guy's just standing there like, I'm like, who is this dude? Like, does this guy do anything? Like, he doesn't whistle, he doesn't juggle, he's not gonna crack a joke or throw a clothesline or something. Like, he's just gonna stand there like a goof with his perfectly ironed pants. Let's get the hell out of here. This is television. If you're on television, you need to do something. That guy was in the background like a box, like cable wire. He was just there. Like, get this guy the fuck out of here, man. I'm trying not to be negative, because I understand that Nick Khan wants more real sports integration. That's why he wants to take WrestleMania to the new entertainment epicenter of planet Earth, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm cool with WrestleMania being in Las Vegas. That's fine. I'm not cool with WrestleMania being in the middle of April. That sucks. Because WrestleMania has traditionally been in or around my birthday. Now you're talking about 2 weeks after. That's whack. You screwing with my traditions. My my what Vince say? My time-honored traditions. You're screwing with them. But you got to build WrestleMania away from the Final Four, because some people might not watch WrestleMania because of the Final Four. Those people can go back and watch WrestleMania. God damn it. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. So, Las Vegas defeats Minneapolis. Minneapolis was very disappointed because they wanted to have WrestleMania, but they also idiots who destroyed their Uber and Lyft industry. And how the fans are going to be able to move around. And it's Minnesota, so it's going to be cold. Even if you say, well, they have an indoor stadium, Mongo. It's cold outside. And people are going to be like in lines and stuff. And they also going to have a store. And sometimes people have to wait outside for those stores. Like SummerSlam. They had the SummerSlam Superstore. Sometimes the line would be like around the block or something like that. And this is Detroit. That was the summer, so it was a little bit easier. But you're talking about April, where it might still be kind of cold in Minneapolis. Bruh, you got people outside in the cold at the Superstore. That sounds unpleasant. Like, it just generally sounds very unpleasant to be stuck outside during the Superstore. That sounds like it sucks, if we're being honest. But I mean, we're dealing with this issue of them changing the WrestleMania venue. Minneapolis had their heart set on it, and it got ripped out of their hands because Nick Khan loves Las Vegas. It's the epicenter of sports betting and gambling and real sports. Because there's no way like football could be worked. Never mind. In any event, WrestleMania Las Vegas, I like the idea. I wish they could book the Sphere for Las Vegas. I just hope WWE doesn't become this thing where it's like UFC, where they run in Las Vegas almost every other weekend. Because that's how UFC starts to, it's like they're on Las Vegas way too much. It's like, I don't know how much sports that area can handle, consistently, like over time. It's going to wear on the population and all that kind of stuff eventually, right? But having WrestleMania there next year ought to be great. It ought to be fun. Calling it the entertainment capital of the world, though I know New York was like, whoa. I know New York was just like, really? I know Atlanta was like, say what? Anyway, that's it. Raw was okay. If you like wrestling, they gave you plenty of that. If you liked angles, good luck. If you like long, awkward promos, this was probably one of your favorite Raws. Becky Lynch out there just absolutely killing it. I mean, I don't mean killing it in a positive way. I mean killing it as in stabbing it repeatedly with boredom. And even CM Punk went out there and dropped a flat pipe bomb. It was more like a flat firecracker. It was not good. So let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.